Boom. Hey, welcome to Star Time. We are live from a couple thousand feet above. Oh, you're very...
Yeah, the lighting is not...
very cyber goth. We just got started. I'm just moving my girlfriend around like a prop. Very cool of me, isn't it? No, it's not cool. Alright. How are you, Jasmine?
Everything's stupid, and I hate it.
There we go. Is everything stupid and you hate it in your world? Or is it just ours?
Ours in general. Like, for real. Like, Joe Biden was, like, on Twitter asking for money because he's too much of a pussy to do anything on his own.
Yeah, what the hell is up with that?
I made a mistake. I'm gonna delete it later, but I did ask him if he was on crack.
No, he's on those weird, like, uppers that old people get.
After all, crack is cheap.
He passed the bill that made it, like, he did the bill that made it, like, a jailable offense to have crack, I'm pretty sure. Because he's cool like that. Anyway.
You know, my lip color looks really good, though.
It does look fantastic. We lost a couple of folks because we were a couple minutes late. I'm so sorry.
It's my fault.
Is it the gnocchi?
No, I took too long to put my lips on.
Are you kidding? I put too long putting up this Arecebo presentation I'm gonna do.
It's necromancy, if you're wondering. Incarnal sin.
You have to speak up. We're not awkward. We usually have a few minutes to set up and get our stuff set up around the studio, but today we did not. I'm so sorry, folks. You're seeing a very raw, back to basics start time. I don't even have my camera settings.
The cat was down here, and I was distracted briefly. But I'm fine now.
The cat has destroyed our productivity.
Also, my highlighter, it was like I went for it and was just like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do it all and give myself crack nose. So
Yay.
if you guys can ignore that, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you. Let me draw attention to it and ask you to ignore it. I want to drink this wine, but the lips look so good. I don't want to burn it.
Well, anyway. I don't have any cute sponsors tonight or anything like that. In fact, I sadly don't think we have much of... we worked a lot. We want to give the Arecebo telescope like a proper like salute. But first, since it's in the news, I figure we might as well go to space news. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, today, first off in space news, and one of our earlier shows, there we go. We discussed the possibility of life on Venus. Well, now everyone in the world, like maybe 30 people or so, has gone through the data, done their own studies. There's even been a flyby by Baby Como. An actual spaceship flew by Venus just in time to take some measurements. Now they're not so sure about those initial measurements, which is, to be fair to the authors of that study, they said that in the study. But that doesn't prove anything yet. So there could be, it doesn't even prove that they found life in the first place. So, you know, that it was phosphine was what they found a marker for. And now they're debating whether or not the marker for phosphine was like a certain level above a certain amount of the cloud deck. And if the instruments detecting it were capable of doing so, etc., etc. Debate shall continue. But at least people are into the idea of cloud life in Venus again, which a good 70s throwback in my opinion. No.
I'm tired of Venus.
You're tired of Venus?
What's Uranus up to lately?
It's got a lot of storms.
Wow.
And it's sideways.
It's sideways. I don't know why that's funny. It's not.
Oh, but there was some more interesting stuff. So, did you know that space glows? Jasmine.
I never really thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I live on Earth.
Yeah, well, we can't really see this phenomena from Earth. However, if you're far out of the solar system, say in the edges of it, like this spacecraft here, you may be able to do that detection. Do you know what probe this is? By chance, it's a probe.
Not one that'll get me dinner, so I don't care.
No, definitely not. Okay, it's the New Horizons probe, the one that flew past Pluto, and then that the name I forgot, that had the naughty name that they changed to Erikoth, maybe they changed it to.
What was
that peanut-shaped world. Ultima Thule, which has some unfortunate white supremacist connotations because white supremacists took over like loving Norse mythology and some bullshit moves in the 90s. So, but anyway, flying past with no real targets on its way, but still operating, the probe was like, just open up its telescope and pointed to the least interesting parts of the sky, and they did like some light sampling on it. And they're like, well, the amount of background light in these images is inconsistent with what we understand the universe's total light output to be, so we're missing some sources of light somewhere. And they're not sure where that's coming from. It could be dwarf galaxies we haven't seen yet. It could be also from some unknown, some quantum phenomenon where stuff's just decaying and giving off light, or I'm starting to wildly speculate myself. But anyway, more light than expected. Speaking of more light than expected and old mysteries, do you know what the name of this nebula is?
God's hole.
No, it's a very simple name.
Space nipple.
Okay, it's called the Blue Nebula. And the Blue Nebula, they were just wondering why it has such an unusual shape. Well, they did some very advanced modeling on it, and to find the shape, to pull out the shape, it's almost like two cone-shaped things. Let me pull that up here. Have it loaded up. Yeah. So in this image here, look at it go. Whee!
Oh, that's actually kind of neat.
Yeah, it's the view from different angles.
Are we sure about?
We're pretty sure. I mean, oh, hello. We have a visitor. Hi.
He's so cute. He loves you more than he loves me. Hey, baby.
Cat cam, everyone.
What are you doing, baby?
We love the cat here on Star Time.
This is for mommies.
Mm-hmm.
Not for babies to have. Do you want to smell it though?
Don't let the cat smell the wine.
It's not going to do anything. I'm not going to let him drink it.
It gets him familiar with the wine glass. I don't like it.
I'm not going to make my child drink alcohol.
Now I have to hold the keyboard so the cat doesn't walk across it during the show.
An abusive parent that's like, hey, you better drink up.
You drink this. You want to drink this one. You guys drink the whole box. And this other box.
And we make him smoke a whole pack of cigarettes.
I'm not even smoking. You smoke and you drink. I don't. What are you talking about, Dad and Mom?
The cat left out of fear.
Yeah,
I think it's so sweet that it did come, though. It's kind of like we're really.
Well, it's because we're doing something involving a keyboard and mouse. That means it needs to show up.
That is true.
Okay. Anyway, so you know what the origin of this thing is? They were wondering why it's got such an interesting shape. What's the origin?
No.
2 stars smashed into each other and left 1 star.
Okay.
Kind of neat. Anyway.
That sounds legit.
Also, this is just a fun one. So, crews, when they go to the space station, they like to bring something that they call their 0G indicator. Do you know what the 0G indicator instrument tool was for this last Crew 1 mission?
It looks like a teddy bear.
Yeah, look a little closer. You want to zoom in? Do you want to enhance the image?
Sure.
Let's enhance. Enhance.
It's a teddy bear.
Sort of. What does the teddy bear? Does it have some large ears, say? Couple of... It's Baby Yoda. They brought Baby Yoda up. Yeah, I mean, Jasmine is the Jagged Orbit, Star Time, Baby Yoda beat reporter, so...
If anything happens to that character, I will burn the franchise to the ground.
He's already been canceled for committing genocide.
I
Delicious
think
eggs.
they deserved it, if you look how cute that thing is.
And on to
it made
cheerier
Werner
topics.
Herzog cry.
You know what makes me cry? The loss of a legendary instrument.
Okay.
So anyway, our big news this week, the Arecibo space telescope. The opposite, the very grounded, built into the ground telescope is it's been kind of decaying the last few years. It had a really bad run-in with, I guess you could call it a run-in, with Hurricane Maria, as the rest of Puerto Rico had, and a good chunk of the rest of the Caribbean in 2017.
The hurricane ran into it.
Yes. And sadly, this looks like... This is actually a picture taken a couple months ago. One of the cables snapped that holds this receiver up. And this giant 1,000 foot wide dish that is the Arecibo Observatory. And they were like, well, we got a bunch of other cables holding it up. It should be fine. The receiver, by the way, weighs 900 tons. You'll see more pictures of it in a second. Yeah, they were kind of like, how are we going to repair this? And I think earlier today they announced, or yesterday or today they announced, yeah, we're not. It was yesterday, I believe. They're like, we can't fix this.
Another one bites the dust, right?
For real.
I'm excited about the decline of Western civilization. Like, I was getting bored with it.
Honestly, this does kind of indicate... Yeah, I have some thoughts on that. And
You'll
how
have
this
it
relates
coming.
to it.
Oh my god!
Someone is poking at us through the green screen.
He gave me a hug.
Yeah, I can say that again.
Aww,
so anyway.
Cute. If he's climbing up here, I should probably go and pull him down.
Yeah.
I think he's climbing.
Alright, well, I just wanted to do a little bit of a... Let him climb. Who cares? It's a lot better than the screens.
Alright, well.
So anyway. I wrote some notes down because there's a lot of technical work. I was also writing 2 things earlier today, so I did my best to get this wrapped up for y'all before we started. Anyway, let's celebrate. We could have a funeral and cry and sob and scream about the telescope being destroyed. It's a very one-of-its-kind kind of thing, too.
That sounds expensive.
It is not.
Okay.
The cat is jumping around in the dishes. Anyway, speaking of dishes, this very large dish is a one-of-a-kind deal, and it's been operational for 57 years.
That's fine.
And unfortunately, it is coming to an end. I just want to give you an example. I found this picture. It's hard to overstate how big this thing is. This is one instrument, and it's this dish alone is 1,000 feet wide. 305 meters. Okay, so you see that right above Jasmine's head there, that dome thing? That's what they were referring to for the receiver. On a radar dish at home, like your home, like direct TV, satellite TV thing. That's a little nubbin that sticks out on the pole. That's what this is basically. It can move around the dish to a limited extent. It gets literally pulled in different directions on those cables that you see up there, those towers. Because the dish itself doesn't move. But that receiver is 900 tons. It's a lot. It's like 900 cars. Very, very elaborate, expensive piece of equipment. So, here's the thing. So when you're a kid, this is like one of the first things I knew was like a science instrument or a telescope as a kid. Radio telescope, this is what I associated with that. I'm like, oh, radio telescope, that big dish in the ground, you know? Like, did you grow up kind of seeing this everywhere on television and movies and stuff? Or is that me?
It was on an episode of Reading Rainbow with LeVar Burton.
Yes, it was, and I'm putting a link to that episode in the chat. LeVar Burton, not in the chat, in the description after the show ends. LeVar Burton not actually at the telescope in that episode because I found it earlier and I wanted to do a clip of it, but it was some other one, some staff scientist doing a tour basically. Mm-hmm. But you know, let's actually go for a quick review. It's been in the 90s. Like anytime you talked about aliens, or astronomy in general, you'd see Arecebo, of course. Our boy Fox in the X-Files, Fox Mulder, there he is in the episode Little Green Men, taking a visit to Arecibo. Jodie Foster in contact as she's basically playing Jill Tarter. She's great, by the way. Very nice lady.
Yeah, I've never met her, but I don't have any qualms.
You can see the receiver in the background there in this Alamy shot. A lot of people know it as the Golden Eye telescope. So, there we go. But yeah. So this thing was dug out in the 60s. It was originally... Did you guess what the original intent of the scope was? They wanted to build it starting in the 50s. What do you think the intent was? Was it science or something else? Missiles. It was totally for missiles.
Yeah,
it was...
wild time.
Re-entry vehicles apparently... make quite a bit of ionizing radiation, which radar can pick up very easily. If you can figure out what kind... there's ways to tune your radar to pick up on certain types of signals too. And they were like, oh, a dish, there was a miscalculation. And they're like, the dish needs to be extremely big to super pick up on it real easy to be the best alert system for us. It's a very short version of what happened, and I'm glossing over some stuff and undoubtedly already got something wrong. It's very technical. Basically, they made it really big to detect missiles. They probably didn't need to make it that big. Ended up with an amazing astronomical instrument. This picture here that you see, move this over slightly. It's making me nervous. It's the wine glass.
It's right over here.
Okay.
It's all the way.
Sorry. The
Well, what am I supposed to do with my hands?
You can hold this adorable mouse.
I want to hold the cat, but it's not hanging out with us right now.
So this is actually them excavating for Arecibo. This picture here, it's from the Arecibo website, which is fantastic, by the way. If you look up the Arecibo Observatory website, that will be in the link shortly in the description. There's a natural sinkhole already there, and they just kind of carved it out and shaped it a little more before installing the giant ass dish you're seeing here. So this is what a Icbm Re-Entry looks like in a timed photo. These are MIRVs, multiple independent re-entry vehicles entering over some atoll. I forget which, maybe even Australia. Hopefully you never get to see this in real life, because it means we're all gonna die.
God willing. I mean, yeah, that'd be bad.
But this is what the telescope was originally created to look for. It wasn't even technically a telescope so much as a radar dish, which that gets fuzzy real fast, right? Like telescope, radar, antenna. So here's a funny thing I never really realized until recently, but you know, like it's curved. It's the telescope. These like radio telescopes, direct TVs and stuff. All those dishes, Dish TV, Prime Star, like, you know, they all look like a dish, right? They're curved on the inside. They're like a mirror. They're just a mirror for radio waves, which is a type of light radiation, electromagnetic radiation. It's weird to think about it as being the same thing as a telescope, like you look through with your eyes, but they're just designed to capture a different wavelength, the same way a telescope is, including like where your eyepiece or camera would be. There's that receiver picking up the radio. So it's interesting to think about it in that way, because that's all it is. It's literally a telescope. Just the mirror isn't silvered. It's just optimized to reflect the larger waves back. I think they're larger. It might be smaller. I'm sorry. Double check. Anyway, I'm trying to get try to figure out how to show like how just incredibly big this thing is. This is a satellite image of the Arecibo telescope, and which also shows some of the damage. You can actually see the hole here caused by one of the cables falling in. But it's huge. Anyway, yeah, so this thing got knocked out by Maria in 2017, and they recently got it fixed up and back together. But this is the thing. Funding's been cut to this for years. Like, there's sexier, newer scopes that have come. There's even technically larger scopes than this, the radio telescopes.
Okay.
But yeah, so after Maria, they were like, they almost didn't put it together again. Like, I guess we should. And there was the National Science Foundation kind of upped its caretaking of it, and I think the University of Florida stepped in to also help out with it. And yeah, so they got it back up, but it was still pretty dodgy. It's getting older too. It's a classic American story, like you're saying. We built the thing in the 50s and 60s, but then we didn't want to take care of it. Yeah, on land that wasn't ours. That's for fucking true. And then we didn't want to take care of it no more. Why do we have to pay so much for the telescope? Why do we have to pay so much for the subway? I don't want to pay the taxes for my road, and then you end up with bullshit like this. Also, doubled with climate change, because these were designed to resist earthquakes, because Puerto Rico gets a lot of earthquakes and hurricanes, but these repeated batterings of things way stronger than they were expecting that exceeds design limits, as the engineers will say. And also, I am certain that because this is in Puerto Rico, some colonialism plays a big fucking role in like, I don't want to fund it no more.
It's a territory, not a state.
Territory, not a state. And they they're like, well, it's over there. It's all the way over there. No. And I mean, honestly, here's the thing. So for relief efforts in Puerto Rico, this is one of the only areas that had a lot of extra supplies during that time. So the telescope being there, like, probably saved people's lives. Unfortunately, it won't be there much longer. Yeah. It's a fucking shame. Like,
if it ever seeks independence, I am blowing this joint.
Yeah, Puerto Rico's cool.
Mom has totally gonna get me citizenship. I know it.
You already have citizenship. It's
She was
United
born
States.
there. I don't know what the rules are.
It's a territory, so I think you can just.
Yeah, but if they go rogue, don't you have to be like, hey, by the way?
Oh, if you're already there.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. That is. Maybe we'll find out what that is soon.
I mean, if y'all don't give us statehood soon, like, if you don't put a ring on it, we're gonna have to do something. I mean, honestly, I think the reason why it's not getting statehood is because nobody wants to update the flag.
Honestly, that is an issue. Also, just it's the balance of power. What are we gonna make Washington D.C. a state next? Yes, we should, and Guam, and whoever else wants it. Anyway, from one thing to another, from colonialism to climate change, this is a problem with everywhere and affecting not just Arecibo. This image here is of the Lick Observatory near Santa Fe. Every fucking year now, during fire season, it's like, uh-oh, is Lick gonna burn out?
The funny thing is, the same thing happens to the Lick Observatory in California, too.
That's what I just said.
Oh, I thought you said Arizona.
If I said Arizona, I meant California. Sorry.
I was gonna say, there's two?
No, there's just the one. There's Lowell Observatory in Arizona. There's a crapload of observatories in Arizona, but yes.
It is an issue.
Yeah. I'm confusing Arizona and California. I have not even left there more than a year. Anyway, and the ones in Arizona are being affected too, of course. But the California ones in the Bay Area is very notable. It's funny that this is in the Bay Area, that there's an observatory there.
I remember growing up seeing it from a distance.
Like Arecebo too, a lot of student astronomers use this to write their statements and stuff, their papers, etc. It's a very useful academic telescope as well as practical.
When I was a kid, it looked like a booby on a mountain.
It still does. It has not burned down yet. So
yet.
it had such a close shave that a nearby installation was actually wiped out. The tri-state astronomers lost their observatory this past year. So with these other things going on, let's take a look at some of the competition, so to speak. So yeah, there are telescopes that are now larger, or radio telescopes that are larger than Arecibo. This is ALMA, a graphic from them. This is doing its very long baseline configuration. So these are a bunch of telescopes. They're huge. They're giant. Like you can see a building in the distance, like a warehouse kind of thing. These are all on tracks, on rails, and they can move around in different configurations. So 2.08 kilometers is much larger than less than a third of a kilometer. It's a trick where you line up a bunch of radio telescopes in a certain configuration, and you can kind of fill in the gaps, so to speak, so they act like one large telescope. It's a radio astronomy trick. You can also do it with light, with optical telescopes, but it's much more difficult, and it ain't easy with radio telescopes. But after 50 years of practice doing this, or however many decades, they make it look easy. The telescope that took the picture of the black hole, or the event horizon around the black hole several years back. There's that Event Horizon telescope, they called it, because it was literally made to take pictures of the event horizon around a black hole. These are all the different stations that were linked together to make that observation, making the Earth like basically a giant telescope. It's the ultimate version of what ALMA does, in a sense. And which includes ALMA, by the way, as part of it. So Arecebo not in here for whatever reason. Oh, it might have been because it was knocked out, actually, at that time. I'm not certain. Also, ALMA has Arecibo has some limits with where it can look because of the fact that it is a pretty much a stationary telescope with like a weird fiddly receiver that moves to adjust where it's looking, so to speak. The main dish doesn't move, but they use a trick where the receiver moves to compensate somewhat. They actually have an optical telescope that does that in Texas. It's an extremely huge telescope, and they just moved the secondary mirror. It's wild. It's so big when you walk in there, you look at it and you don't understand you're looking at a mirror.
It's kind of cool.
There is a telescope in China now. There's actually two that are bigger than Arecibo. One was built, I think it was Soviet era Russia, and they never kind of really finished it. They did a few observations with it, but it's kind of... You can look it up later. I forgot the name of it. This one, though, is a recent one in China called a FAST, or I forget what that stands for. I did not put that in my notes, but it's also called but anyway, it's the FAST telescope. We'll just call it the FAST telescope. It is a little bit larger than Arecibo, though it actually doesn't pick up as fine a wavelength as Arecibo does because of differences in the way they're constructed. So FAST here has like adjustable little bits underneath to help focus light from other sources or radio waves from other sources a little better. But in the process of making like the little... So imagine all these little panels on Arecibo being able to flap around and adjust, which is something that telescopes do now, like optical telescopes. This also destroys some of its finer abilities, like it can't see like certain wavelengths as well as Arecibo does. So it gives it some greater capabilities, but it doesn't have certain other ones that Arecibo actually has. One other thing it doesn't also have, Arecibo still has that massive radar ability in it, which was in its design. It makes it unique as an observatory. Oh, that's how big. So Arecibo, its dish is on top, and the Chinese one is on the bottom.
Well,
yeah, very big.
That's all, folks.
But Arecibo does a shitload of work. Well, it did a shitload of work. It's very unfortunate it's gone since it's a radio telescope.
R.I.P.
Extremely good about picking up pulsars and radio sources in our galaxy. This is from a pulsar search called what's it called? Palfa. And it's funny because you look at maps of radio sources in our galaxy, and multiple of them will note that the primary cluster is centered along the sight line of the Arecibo telescope. So you see where they're the thickest? That's where Arecibo can see. That's basically stuff that it's mostly found. It's remarkable. But the crazy part is, so yeah, like you expect, like, I don't know, black holes and distant galaxies, you can, see them fairly well. That's the traditional thing for radio telescopes, picking up. Do you know what this is this is a radar image of?
Is that the moon?
No.
Is it Mercury?
Yes.
Thank you.
This sucker gets better pictures of Mercury than ground-based optical telescopes. It's very, very powerful radar beam in there. And a lot of times they actually split duties with another telescope called the Green Bank Observatory, and that's in West Virginia.
I still should get really, really good credit for like randomly calling up that planet with this. It looks like a zit.
Mercury, not an attractive planet.
It's not. I'm very talented.
Yeah.
Doesn't appreciate it.
And she made gnocchi tonight by hand.
I was bored.
I'm very lucky. Anyway, this is of Mercury. So the little white square in the center, that is an image of, that's the larger strip here. That's actually, the larger strip is the view that the Magellan spacecraft had when it orbited Venus and was taking radar pictures. So like you can still, if you fly something close up to these planets, you're going to get a better picture. But in the meantime, you still get a remarkably incredible picture from Arecibo. Like you can see volcanoes in this picture of Venus from Arecibo. And yeah, this is all just them bouncing a radar beam off, and either they get it or Green Bank gets it. I think it's usually Green Bank receives it. So yeah. Oh, this is the map it created of possible water deposits in one of the polar regions of Mercury. I think the South Pole, but I'm not certain. Like, it just does so much. Like, the stuff you wouldn't even expect. The biggest thing that it gets in the news for is anytime there's a near-Earth asteroid, it takes pictures of it. Like, it scans it with its radar, and they generate these images from it. I should say that all these images are like reconstructions of radar data.
That's an image of the Dark Knight.
Well, there was like every year NASA loves trotting out this, look at the spooky skull asteroid, and it's an image from this.
He's a denier.
What do you mean a denier?
It exists.
What exists?
It's an alien probe, Dark Knight.
Oh, that thing. Well, none of these are images of that. If it picked up on Dark Knight, they're not gonna release the data. It's also...
He's a denier, I guess.
Not a denier, just military applications of the scope are gonna remain classified.
It's an alien probe, and people need to talk about it more.
But anyway, I want to look at some more asteroid pictures. Like this. So if you see pictures like this of an asteroid, especially every time there's something for, like, this asteroid is passing within 1 million miles of Earth, you know, Arecebo's going to get was getting pictures of this stuff. And with great detail. And if you think this is kind of fuzzy and shitty looking, it gets the general shape and size of the asteroid really, really well. You can't get this level of detail with ground-based scopes or even most, like any space telescope, unless it's near the asteroid. They'll just look like points of light. The best you could do is kind of figure out with a bunch of telescopes working together to figure out like the general outline of something, but this can give you more detail. Just in one blow. Yeah, like this one here. This is a great one. And actually, they did get a second image of this from a Chinese. I think this was to TUS. I think a Chinese probe actually flew by this on its way to somewhere else. So they did follow up observing. They kind of worked together on that. Oh, not the most brilliant image, but what do you think this is of?
It's not home, is it?
No.
Is it a gas giant?
Not quite, but that's actually kind of warmer.
It's Venus.
No. You're right. You're on a better track with that gas giant comment.
Jupiter.
Getting very close.
Can't be Saturn.
Okay, I'll tell you. This was actually Ganymede, a moon around Jupiter.
Oh, fuck. I'm not gonna get that. Who gives a shit about the moons around Jupiter?
I do. They're my favorite.
I mean, they're okay, but...
But the thing is this is a radar image of a moon around Jupiter from a telescope on Earth. And this... They've done some stuff. Like, they got some volcano data of Io even with this telescope. And this is a radar beam bouncing back from fucking Jupiter. That's insane. So... that's the level of power they put into this sucker.
Io looks like it needs like a face mask or something.
Oh, it definitely does. And this is the classic treasured Arecibo Message broadcast to nearby, I think it was M13 in the 70s by Frank Drake. Still on its way.
Poor choice on their part.
Yeah, I don't think we should tell the aliens where we are, what we're up to.
Well, no, they're not. What the fuck is this? This doesn't look like anything. This is like...
Well, they don't need to know. It's not like they're going to decode our coordinates from this awful image. But what they're going to do is they just go, oh, it came from here. Let's go there.
Yeah, and then they also like, well, why bother to go? They're probably all dead by the time we
Not our concern, no. Because we're like 13,000 light years away or whatever. So
the kids I will not have...
yeah,
will be highly affected by this.
Yeah. Oh, just so you know, the SETI at Home program, if you ever ran this on a computer in college, this actually was that data was primarily supplied by Arecibo too. And yep, sadly, this is what it's looking like. It's all messed up on the bottom. This is the first cable collapse. And yeah, here we are. This is the same picture. So yeah, you can see this big hole here is from the second cable that collapsed. This is not designed to be held up with just a couple cables. Again, 900 feet, you know, in size. 900 feet, 1,000 feet wide, 900 tons. So, and apparently, and this is the kicker, when they got the engineers to check it out, the cable that snapped they had earlier taken a look at stuff, and they're like, it's holding about 60% of its rated weight, so the max weight, so it should be okay. And then it snapped. Not even barely over half of what it was rated to hold, so that means all the other cables are incredibly degraded too. Like, they're all messed up. So basically, they're worried that even if they try to repair it, they're going to get like seriously injured and just end up not only wrecking it further, you know, they try to fix a cable and just yanks the whole thing down. Then they kill a bunch of people at the same time. And it's basically to the point where it's like they have to figure out how to deconstruct it. Just tear it out. It's like if you got a house and it's so rotted out at this point, you're like, I just want to replace the door frame. That's like the door won't fit anymore. And it's like you pull that one joint, the house is coming down. This is condemned. Unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. And especially, you know, I'm a big dork, but actually you can see all these people bravely standing under it. This is an older picture, so totally fine. But yeah, this is just some of the staff that work at the telescope. That worked. Yeah. Vital source of employment for folks on the island too. People working there. Valuable research, academic instrument. And yeah, this is just a tiny bit of the people that are affected by it. I mean, and just general knowledge. If anything, too, like doing space stuff, people are always like, well, what does astronomy do for us? You know, what does space do? It's like, well, I mean, weather satellites are a pretty big bonus. But like if you want to get a little more abstract and you can say, well, you know, if there's an asteroid and it's going to hit us, you know, whatever, this is like the best instrument to like take a peek at those asteroids and figure it out. And now it's gone. So that part sucks if you're a person that's like super into the what do we do about asteroids thing.
It's all downhill from here.
I mean, it kind of is. I mean, this is sort of indicative of like the greater collapse of everything.
Yeah, we're
kind
really
of sucks.
in the ass, like.
But focus not on us, but on this wonderful scope that is now gone. And it's totally gone. I mean, there is the possibility some like eccentric billionaire just steps in because of the SETI stuff and like funds a very dangerous reconstruction effort. They might.
Elon Musk is
no, not Elon Musk. There's a guy.
The Virgin Galactic guy.
No, not him either. Sorry.
There's so many of them.
SETI. Paul Allen died, and he would be someone that would doing that. Oh,
Who the fuck is that guy?
Russian billionaire. He's funded SETI to the tune of $100 million.
But he's also 6 feet under.
No, he's very much alive.
Oh, just dead on the inside.
Avi Loeb. No, sorry. Yuri Milner. Yeah, like Yuri, you want to fund a dangerous fix-it job? Go ahead, dude. He also wants to do like an Operation Starshot. He wants to have lasers pushing solar sails to another star system. You know, he's one of those silly money kind of folks, but at least puts it like where his mind is, you know. I guess. At least it keeps some of my friends employed at SETI, and so that's nice. But unfortunately, that might not even be doable. It might just be a totally fucked structure, which sucks. Really fucking sucks. Doesn't mean they might not build another one at some point in the future, but the way things are looking fiscally right now for everyone, even getting any new construction for any telescope right now is just not happening. R.I.P. So, that was Arecebo, an icon, king of telescopes. And this was our little tribute to a legend. You got any words?
Smoke if you got them.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's all downhill from here, as I said before. Like
Jesus.
I mean, it's not too much longer, so we're just
dial it down 10%.
Sorry,
just dial it down 10%,
guys,
please.
Actually, it'll be okay. It will be. I'm just kidding.
On that note, thank you for joining us tonight. Sorry it was a little rushed tonight. I'm hoping next week.
Fine.
You're not doing brunch show this weekend, right?
I'm going to take some time off to take care of some stuff here.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
But
everything's fine.
We'll be back next week, and maybe we'll have a Twitch stream going. We'll see how that works. Until then, take care. Watch out for everyone. Watch out for yourself. Hope you have clear skies. Enjoy the weather. It is a balmy 55 degrees here in northern New York in the middle of November. At night.
It's almost like they brought the weather with me.
See you, folks, and have a lovely evening. Thank you all for joining us tonight.
Bye.